That famous studio, it was called the Den, right?
Uh-huh.
So that was that the same house that the Grow Up was in? Because I heard I thought what I thought was the business plan behind it, from what I heard on 97, was you had to grow up upstairs. Rappers come, want to record it, and also what do they want when they come? Liquor and weed. You got both.
That's almost right. See,
Okay.
the studio was the jump off.
Okay.
The studio, everybody came to the studio.
I heard Lil Wayne and Beyonce came, right?
We had our poker game there. We had the recording studio there, and it was just a house that we would go to and meet clients and other things.
Okay.
But there was no growing dope at that location.
Okay.
We had 21 other locations for that, and it just so happened that
Jesus Christ, 21 locations.
One of the biggest locations we had was my brother's house. He had a 6,700 square foot estate on 2 acres, had 25 grow lights in it. So
did he live in that house?
Well, when you live in a 7,000 square foot house,
I mean,
there's plenty of room to live in. And what's so awesome about that house is that you could be downstairs and not ever know what was going on upstairs. It was just that big.
So him, his kids, his wife all lived downstairs?
Well,
he was not married at the time.
He wasn't married. So it would just be him. And then if you needed to go hang out with your wife and family,
then you got enough space
there's another spot for it. So between my house in Siena, the studio, my little duck off apartment, there's plenty of places to go.
Yeah.
It's like Yeah. So we always try to keep things very separate when it came to the weed operation.
Again, we need to know the most craziest, unexpected, and biggest artist to record there, and the craziest story from that studio. So we need to know all of it.
One thing that a lot of people liked about the studio was the environment.
Okay.
It wasn't your traditional studio. When you go to a studio in New York or LA, it's very sterile. There's this huge console. There's a huge, recording room, and it's very intimidating for any artist. You see all that stuff, and you don't know if they're gonna launch a rocket from that console. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Especially being a new artist, if you're like, that's the first time you've been in a real studio, it's overwhelming.
And at that point, industry standard was switching from analog to digital. So we had the first all digital Pro Tool studio in Houston.
Okay.
So we had the latest equipment. The environment, like I said, was kind of like the real world. We had everything decorated, super modern, super friendly. So when an artist came there, not only could they rent out the whole house, and there's 2 bedrooms there for them, but they could all actually do their recording. There was a graphic designer there, so it was one-stop shopping for all your needs were all in one spot. So that kind of set us apart from every other studio that was going on at the time. And then when you start to generate hits out of that studio, people want to be in that environment. They want to know what's going on. And not only that, but I'm not saying I grew the best weed in Texas, but I'd at least say top 5.
Yeah.
So between the weed, the state-of-the-art facility, the environment that we produce, all the hit records that came through there, I mean, we're talking about, we did Lil Wayne's mixtapes while I was at U of H. We did the Beyonce Lil Flip song.
Well, which ones were the ones that he released during U of H? I mean, that was the dedications?
There was a couple mixtapes, and I tell this to people all the time that, I've worked on so many songs
that you just don't remember,
that I barely even remember my songs. And if it wasn't for my tour manager, right, I rap over all my music. And the legit reason is not because I couldn't do it a cappella. It's because, plain and simply, bro, I got a chronic memory problem. I smoke way too much chronic, so the words sometimes don't always come to mind. So the words always don't come to mind. So, with that being said, we've done probably 4 or 5 million records out of that studio.
Wow.
Between Mike Jones' record and Paul Wall's record and Chameleonaire's record and the E40 Bun B record, and then plus all the other underground records that Lil Flip, that was his primary recording spot. So we did Little Flip stuff, Zero stuff. Anybody that, because you gotta understand, when Screw left the game, there was no studio for people to record out of, especially on our level.
Yeah.
So when you have Little Flip there and you have Zero there,
you had Beyonce there, right? I read that the Beyonce.
So Beyonce and Lil Flip did a record together. And
what record do you? Oh, you don't remember? Sorry, I'm always asking. I know
the
the
record.
I heard it.
You can look it up. All you gotta do is type in Lil Flip Beyonce.
Hey, someone look that up for us.
And it'll pop up.
Mike, can you look that up for us?
Beyonce Lil Flip.
Beyonce Lil Flip record, please.
So, doing all those records, I mean, Lil Flip did his Game Over record there and everything else. So,
Beyonce actually came to the studio and you saw her work?
Yeah.
Could you see, like, when and Lil Wayne worked, could you see, like, why they were, they are where they are and why they're legends? And
when I recorded Wayne, and Naughty Girl. Exactly, Naughty Girl. There you go. Naughty Girl. I can't sing.
Yeah.
But anyway, when you watch somebody like Bun B work, when Bun B lays down the song in the vocal booth, you automatically, immediately see everybody go grab a pen and a paper and go rewrite their stuff. You know, because when Bun B delivers a verse, he delivers.
Yeah.
When Lil Wayne spits on a track, it's very interesting. He would roll something up, smoke it. He would write the bars in his head, go drop the 16 bars, and then repeat the process.
Did you supply the weed Wayne was smoking?
I won't implement anybody in my affairs. But I'll say this, Lil Wayne, he probably was smoking the best weed in Texas.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying I grew the best weed in Texas. I'm just saying top 5.
Okay, all right.
There might be 4 other people.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, you see these artists that the reason they're at the top of their game is because they go in there and they work like nobody else. And then the respect of their peers. When you see somebody like Lil Wayne do something like that, it makes you motivated and elevate your game.
Yeah.
So I got the best of both worlds. I could see how Bun B recorded. I could see how Lil Wayne recorded.
See, I like how Lil Wayne came and messed with the legends in Houston. You know, he was really working with the real people that moved stuff in Houston. You know, I like that. I like that he did that because people have just taken, I feel like, a lot of Houston culture and not paid respect back to
That's totally
Houston
true.
culture.
That's totally true. You see guys walking around all day long with
double cups and perpetrating like they're sipping lean. I mean, this is Coke. I don't sip lean. This is Coca-Cola.
Wait, this isn't lean?
No, this ain't lean, bro. It's Coca-Cola.
Hey, give me some lean. No, but people don't understand that the whole double cup thing came from Big Mo. The reason he used 2 cups because he couldn't mix his lean properly.
See, everyone says it's because the cup gets weak and they poke a hole in it.
That's not even true at all.
Yeah.
The whole thing comes from Big Mo, and that's where it originated.
So y'all got it directly from the source, where the double cup comes from. So let's not ask any more questions.
Yeah, so
there's no more debate on it. We got it here exclusive. It's because Big Mo could not mix
the
properly.
Drink. That's right. So he needed 2 cups to mix it properly, and that's where that comes from.
So like, you know, I never heard you talk about guys like Paul Wall, Chamillionaire. I mean, I heard you talk a little bit about Slim Thug and Mike. Like, you said they recorded in the Den. What's your relationship with those guys like?
Oh man, you know, the camaraderie between us all is all great. I was just on the road with Paul Wall. We did a show in San Marcos, sold out. I talked to these guys, you know, daily.
It's called the White People Tour. Nah.
Coming soon, the White People Tour.
You, Macklemore,
right?
Machine Gun Kelly,
something like that.
Paul
Hey,
Wall.
as long as they got the check, I'll show up. But
Machine Gun Kelly's actually my favorite rapper.
He is. He is definitely dope. So I have a rapport with all these guys that, you know, when we're out together, we all hang out, and party and stuff like that.
That's good.
And that's just the way.
Because I like that. Because, you know, New York rap is what I mean. I grew up on Texas rap after I got introduced to New York rap. And it just bummed me out at a time to see everybody beefing like that up top New York. And now they're back and they're really popping. You know, New York's got a good sound. You know, they got Hey Boogie, they got Young Ma out there. Who's the other dude? Casanova they got out there. So I'm glad they're getting back on, but I didn't like the beef at that one time that they had. And I like that Houston doesn't have that beef. You know, we had it for a while, and thank God the Pimp C, you know, he squashed that.
There's too much money to make.
He got out of jail and squashed that real quick.
There's too much money to make for us to be arguing over pennies.
Yeah. What about the new guys like you know, Kirko, Marcus Manchild, Beat King, Trill Sammy, Sauce Twins? Like, have you met any of them? Have you worked with them? What do you feel? How do you like their music?
Beat Kings and I are actually working on a new project right now. We're actually going to bring, I don't want to give too much away, but just imagine some line dance and stuff, and that's the only thing I got to say. Yeah. Beat King's
dope in the clubs here. I mean, he doesn't have like a big following outside of the South, but in the South, he's making money. I mean, you can make money in the South and be
talented
cool,
guy. You know? Kurt Cobain, same way. Super talented guy.
Yeah, I just wonder where the album is because I love his music so much. I think that Drink in the Cup was just a dope sounding record, like such a player sounding record. I just wonder where the album was. I just wish he got the album out, and I'm sure there's some label stuff going on. I think he moved to 300 now, and he's on 300. So I don't know what's going on. I wish
nobody ever understands the politics that go on behind records.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more difficult than people think when it comes to putting out a record. You know, I'm currently in negotiations with one of the largest conglomerates, and whenever we revise anything out of the contract, it takes 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because the simple fact that it's got to go through their attorneys and then back to our attorneys.
Yeah, that's how the real estate stuff works too.
So, you know, just, you know, changing one thing in a contract could take 2 weeks. Yeah. And that's kind of where, you know, I was proposed the deal back late January, and the deal's still not finalized. So there's some things that people don't understand, that there's way more things that go on besides just, I'm gonna sign this piece of paper, I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Yeah. So you've been in the game now, not 20 plus years now, right? 20
Well,
years
look,
now?
I'd like to be in the game 20 years, but it's right at 17.
17. All right. So even with the whole Fed case, which we'll get to that in a second, but like, when were you the happiest? When were you the happiest, and why? When were you the saddest and most like depressed? Like, when were you just like, man, you know, screw this. I'm just done with everything. And why? And how did you snap out of it? Cause I know me being handicapped and having my kidney disease and everything that I have and going on. You know the producer Jay Dilla.
Mm-hmm.
What he died from, TTP. I had that, and it's a 90% kill rate. And it's I luckily caught it early enough, and I got out, and I made it out.
We're happy to have you here.
Yeah. I mean, the doctors kind of told my mom, like, you know, get ready, like,
Prepare for the worst.
Prepare for the worst. It's not gonna be good. But you know, we made
Well, look,
it out.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so yeah, you know, when were you the happiest and why?
You know, life is about ups and downs. When you're up, you never think you're gonna be down, and when you're down, you never think you're gonna get up again. That's just the way life is.
Definitely.
It's definitely ups and downs. But I remember sitting on the couch for a couple years. This was right after my major label debacle, as I put it. You know, here I was. I had this money. I had a great studio, and I'm on the couch eating pills, and I'm going out every night, killing myself at the club, and my life is just, on the outside appearance, everything is great, but on the inside, it all sucks. I'm not where I'm at, where I want to be musically. Financially, I'm secure.
This was like during the whole selling.
This is like right after the country rap tune video and everything like that. Your whole goal as an artist is to get signed to a label deal, and when that kind of dissipates, you're left with this hole in you.
Okay. And
as I'm working on Chicken Fried Steak, I'm not in the zone making music. I'm there, but I'm not there.
Okay.
So between smoking, massive amounts of weed and popping pills and drinking lean and going out to the club every single night.
Were you a heavy lean drinker back then?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Was everybody in STC like that? Just everybody?
I wouldn't say everybody, but that's just what our culture is. People want to say, "Oh, screw music isn't for this and that." Listen,
so do you
I don't know about everybody else,
culture?
but screw music for me is smoking a blunt, sipping some drink, and popping some screw up in the deck. Yeah, that's what I do. So, now I can't speak for everybody, but that's just what I do.
Hate her, but I fuck her like a lover. I was fighting, but we kiss under the cover. And baby, I don't ever play around with you. Soon as we get together, you know what's going down. She say she love when I'm up in it. Them other niggas ain't with it. She like, what's your favorite position? I'm like, baby, every position. And I love when you wash the dishes. Not because you washing the dishes. It's because of little shorts you be wearing when you walking around in the kitchen, yeah.